به آسمانه، سازش این زمانه از هم دیگه جدا نه. اگر ما یک باشی تیر منی هر طوفانه. حمیدین تیر منی هر طوفانه. دنیای فانی چند روز زندگانی هرچی دریا دل باش نباشد پشیمانی.
سلام دوستان، برنامه را ما به رسمی در قباد شروع میکنیم چون جمعیت زیاده. همه دوستایی که پیش روی هستن اگر رقم همکاری کنیم که یا یکی اگر که میدانیم شیشتن شاید مشکل باشه برای یک چند دقیقه واری اگر بیشتن چون مردم از پشت سر دیدن نمیتونن. دست خودش ما یک درخواسته از شما. منتظر میمانای خصوصی، میمانای ممبرای پارلمان اینا هستیم و مجردی که اونا برسن برنامه رو شروع کنیم. تشکر دوستان.
خواهشان اگر مهمانای خصوصی که آمدن از هر طرف که آمد رابطین برایشان که اونا بیاین دامی چوکی این طرف. تشکر.
سکوت کردیم کشته شدیم، گریستیم کشته شدیم، صبر کردیم کشته شدیم، منزوی شدیم کشته شدیم، تحمل کردیم خواندیم نوشتیم بخشیدیم هرچی کردیم کشته شدیم. ما چه کردیم؟ کشته شدیم. چه نکردیم کشته شدیم، چه نکردیم کشته شدیم. سکوت بس برنخیزیم، فریاد میزنیم، زنده ترین کشته جهان ماییم، میستیم و استادمیم. توفان و رد میشویم تا کرترین گوش ها چشم ها ببینن. بیدار میکنیم سردمداران حقوق بشر را، در تجمع هر نسلانمان در سراسر جهان فریاد بزنیم، نسل کشی هزاره ها را متوقف کنید.
Thank you. Thank you. We all gather tonight for one reason, and one reason only: to call for Stop Hazara Genocide in Afghanistan. Across the world this week, in over 100 cities, across 5 continents, thousands, if not millions of people have come together and are gathering to stand in solidarity with the Hazara people of Afghanistan following the latest targeted suicidal attack on Kaj Educational Center, which resulted in the carnage of 57 young Hazara students and wounded 110. At the outset, it's important that we acknowledge that all people in Afghanistan are suffering from the widespread violence and human rights atrocities perpetrated by various groups, including the Taliban. Women's rights and girls' rights are severely restricted. We condemn this. However, it's important that we acknowledge, we raise awareness, and we talk about the systematically targeted attacks and enduring genocide that the Hazaras are facing. So why are we calling this a genocide? Let me refer you to Article 2 of the 1948 Genocide Convention, which defines the term as the intention to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. That's what the Hazaras have been facing and enduring since the late 19th century, when it formally commenced under the rule of Abdur Rahman. The Hazaras have been facing genocide for the last 130 years. During the 20th century, it did not stop. The genocidal policies continued, both through physical attacks as well as non-physical violence.
Words of solidarity.
As a community this evening in support of our Hazara brothers and sisters, and to call for Stop Hazara Genocide. conclude with a poem by Sadi Shirazi. Human beings are members of a whole, in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is affected with pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, the name of human you cannot retain. Thank you. Stop Hazara Genocide.
To the community gathered here today. Thank you, Julian. And as Julian's putting the flower down, I will maybe give you a bit of a heads up on who is next, as that process taking a little bit of time. We will then hear from Monique, Ryan, Zoe, Daniel. You'll be up next.
Stop Hazara Genocide! Stop Hazara Genocide!
We gather here in central Dandenong in the most multicultural part of Australia with the Australian Hazara community tonight, with more members of Parliament, with the Mayor, councillors and so many community leaders, to call out this latest atrocity, this direct attack on Hazara people in Afghanistan, who were targeted because of their ethnicity and Shia religion in Kabul, directly targeting young Hazara women this time at an educational centre. A truly inhumane and barbaric attack. Monsters targeting school children. A total perversion of religion. I want to make a few acknowledgements. Firstly, to the people here who are with us tonight, who've lost loved ones, family and friends in the 56 people killed in this shocking attack.
Speakers remaining, if I could, this sounds very rude, but if you could keep your statements of solidarity brief for your own colleagues. As you all know, everyone has to attend to other duties. But while Monique's making her way to the stage, we'll just maybe chant twice.
Stop Hazara Genocide! Stop Hazara Genocide! Stop Hazara Genocide!
Thank you. It's really difficult to look at these photos behind us. We've already thanked the traditional owners of this land a couple of times tonight. All of us here are immigrants to this country. Virtually everyone here, unless they're a First Nations person, has come. Raja and I, Dr. Ananda Raja is a Labor politician, I'm an independent politician. But I look at the faces of those girls in those photos and I think about the fact that Dr. Ananda Raja and I are women who have had the opportunity to have an education in this country and to become doctors and then to represent our communities.
It has been for more than a century that our people have been targeted for no reason of their own fault. We thank every one of you and we thank every countryman and women who have stood with us in the past week. Yesterday, 96 cities witnessed one of the most important protests around the world. But I believe that that wasn't enough. I believe that wasn't enough because those 96 cities which witnessed thousands of people on the streets, they need 96 million people next week.
با رفتن 40 به 40 دختران ما لحظه و لحظه حادثه تکرار می شود هر بار نعش پاره بر بغل مادران ما باز دوام فاجعه سرخ جهل و دل در خاک و خون تپیدن روشنگران ما را به این گروه قاتل فروختند ای مرگ بر خیانت سوداگران ما تقدیر و تشکر میکنم از همه دستاندرکاران این برنامه شمع افروزی و تظاهرات که یک تیم منظم متشکل از اقشار همه جامعه ما و ما نیاز به چنین همدلی داریم و درود و سلام به همت و احساس و درد همه شما برادران و خواهران و اخصاً دانشجویان و دانش آموزان عزیز که امشب اینجا جمع شدید و صدای مظلومیت دانش آموزان معصوم و بیگناه کرسکاج را به گوش دولت مردان استرالیا و نهادهای بین المللی برسانید و اعلان کنید ای خانواده های شهدا، ای پدران و ای مادران شهدا، ما یک آن و یک لحظه شما را فراموش نکردیم. شما از نظر روحی و جسمی می سوزید، ولی ما هر آن و هر لحظه از نظر روحی می سوزیم و خودمون را در غم و اندوه شما سهیم و شریک می دانیم.
My name is Cassandra Fernando. For those who don't know me, I am the federal member for Holt. I look after from Hampton Park, Narre Warren South, Cranbourne, Lyndhurst and Lynbrook. I'm here today to express my heartfelt condolences to 56 Hazara people, mostly Hazara girls, whose lives were drastically cut short due to a horribly shameful act of terrorism. This attack on young, blossoming Hazara students at the Khaja Higher Education Centre in Kabul is deeply saddening. It is the most recent of a long list of acts of persecution against the Hazara people, acts which have intensified since the Taliban's takeover a year ago. The Albanese government continues to commend these deplorable acts targeting the Hazara community in Afghanistan. We support calls from the international community that those responsible must be brought to justice. My message to everyone here is simple. Regardless of race, gender or belief, everyone deserves to live a peaceful life. The marginalization and discriminalization of the Hazara population must stop. I commend the efforts of several Afghan Australian organizations for their hard work in assisting Afghanistan during the times of need. I extend my thoughts, my prayers to the Afghani people, particularly the Hazara community, which deserves to be free from persecution. Thank you. God bless you all.
Like you mean it. Stop Hazara genocide! Stop Hazara genocide! Recognize! 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 Hazara Budan! Hazara Budan! Hazara Budan! Hazara Budan! Stop Hazara genocide! Stop Hazara genocide! Stop Hazara genocide!
Hi everyone. Thank you all for attending tonight's vigil. I know that we're all hurting inside and that we're all here with a very heavy heart. But at times like these, it's very important that we stick together, because we want to be the change that we want to see in this world. Because we must change the faith of our other Hazara people. On behalf of my group, I've written a poem that I'd like to share. Title is, What is it to be a Hazara? Azra budan chi ast? To be a Hazara is to be in constant mourning, because the loss of one Hazara is the loss of all Hazaras. To be a Hazara is to be born with a death warrant warning, because your life is insignificant, like the babies who were murdered in their mother's wombs in the maternity wards of Dashti Barchi. To be a Hazara is to suffer in silence as you watch 9-year-old Shukriya Tabassum have her throat slit with a metal wire. To be a Hazara is to work in the March coal mines of Balochistan, where your killer confirms, "Are you Hazara?" before they shoot you to death. To be a Hazara is to know that the attack on Taj Education Center will not be the last. To be a Hazara is to bury an empty coffin because you could not locate the body in a sea of blood. To be a Hazara is to carry the pain of your ancestors because it haunts you as shackles grounding your feet. To be a Hazara is to be forcefully driven away from your ancestral homeland to the inhabitable mountains and to the dark caves. To be a Hazara is to be born in exile and to die in exile, far away from your ancestral home. But to be a Hazara is to strive for greatness. To be a Hazara is to be Faiz Muhammad Khatib, who veiled the atrocities of the Pashtun state so that the history of Hazaras survives for the future generations. To be a Hazara is to be Sima Samar, building communities from the ground up and advocating for education and women's rights. To be a Hazara is to be Rohullah Nekpai, the only and 2 times Olympic bronze medalists of Afghanistan. To be a Hazara of your country. And finally, to be a Hazara is to be the driving force for change in a land that is cemented in prejudice and injustice. Now repeat after me. Stop Hazara genocide! 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 Recognize! 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 Azra Budan! Azra Budan! Azra Budan! Thank you.
و بشینن تا کسایی که پشت سر هستن بتوانن برنامه رو ببینن.
وضو با خونی طفلان هم مجاز است. وضو با خونی طفلان هم مجاز است. و یک پیغمبری دیگر نیاز. و یک پیغمبری دیگر نیاز خدایا بچه را ماتم گرفته و درونی خانه آبی غم گرفته درونی خانه آبی غم گرفته شفیق عمر بود دشمن و تعلیم ما مریم و مصادقا جوی بخوندم تا قلم ما کم گرفت